Alright friends, time for some mage content. I've really been getting into mage this week. I just feel like it does everything so well. You can be really aggressive with it and get in people's faces. You can kite, you can... I'm just going through the videos and the diversity of the videos. And I've got 1vx's, I've got 1v1s, I've got arenas, I've got OPR, I've just got straight up duels. Like, it's so cool. Like, and it's just nice to be back on the class that I've historically played. So I've just been really enjoying it, and I kind of enjoy Ice Spike because it still makes me feel like I'm playing a bit more melee anyway. So and yeah, so I thought I'd cover that, but today I want to cover some of the basics. So I had a big long dueling session with my good friend Solace, who so I also suggest I'll put the link in the description, subscribing to their channel. I had a big dueling session with them. He's a very good mage, and I just kind of picked up on the basics of dueling on the mage in New World, which I'm going to cover some of the things that I picked up during that dueling session, and then I'm going to go on and show how that impacted the rest of my game afterwards, so like in OPRs and other 1v1s, etc., because it did have a good impact. So hopefully you can learn from some of the things that I picked up and have some fun watching some of the videos. So yeah. So one of the first things that I had to deal with was they put a lot of pressure on really quickly, and so I was dodging so much to try to avoid all their burst damage, and then I was running myself out of stam like I do here, and so that's just basically free damage for them because I can't dodge out of it. And here's another example here where I run myself out of stam in another fight, and then I just become an easy target. So one of the major lessons I learned earlier on, so here we're just light attack and heavy attacking each other, so we're not using any of our skills. I was really worried that my aim was just horrendous. So you can see that I'm just missing all my shots. And so I was just kind of like, I'm never going to be able to do this. My aim sucks. You know, your aim's really good. But in actual fact, it was because I'm spending all my time dodging and just being so scared of being hit that I'm actually just not lining up my shots and taking my time to line them. So I actually suddenly started to learn that if I just stand there and line up my shots and don't worry about being hit so much, I started landing my shots almost the same amount as them. So it actually wasn't my aim. It was just I was so scared of being hit that I was dodging, which resulted in me dodging too much and running myself out of stam for one thing. And also I just wasn't taking the time to make sure I was hitting them back. So the other important thing is how you open your fight. You'll see Solace opens with an Ice Storm, then rolls in and tries to get a Fireball off, and then tries to finish it with an Ice Spike. That instantly puts me on my back foot, and I'm already at half health, and the fight's only just begun. So they really put me into a deficit, which is really impossible for me to get back from. And so here's another example of it here. Ice Storm, rolls, Fireball, and then Ice Spike. So once again, I'm at half health before the duels even begun. So on Mage, I think it's really important to start off your fight really aggressive and also just to get your combos off. Obviously starting with your combos is really good, but just in general being able to get your combos off on people is also just really helpful to win. So then I basically started to adopt that strategy. I tried to start off like landing quite a few combos off on them, and then just in general staying really, really aggressive, and then just trying to get the combos off whenever they came up. Just keeping the pressure on I think is really important. And this was the first, although they're kind of like, I don't know if they're taking the piss here a little bit, but hey, I got the win, and that was the first win, so I'll take it. So at this point we had many more duels. I was watching my stamina a lot better. I was definitely not being afraid of being hit quite as much, but that would mean I'd be lining up my shots more, and I was definitely trying to be a lot more aggressive and landing my combos. So although they were winning far more than me, I was getting wins like you see here. I was also quite slow because I haven't played Mage much, so their reactions were a lot quicker. You can see here we both go for Ice Spike, but they get theirs off. Well, they land theirs, but there was also just so many times that they would actually get their Ice Spike on me a split second before I got it on them, and then I'd get staggered. But that just comes down to building up that muscle memory. On my bruiser, I kind of just know when my cooldowns are going to be coming off. I don't have to look, and I kind of know what button to press just automatically. I haven't quite got there on my Mage yet, just because I haven't played it nearly as much as I've played my bruiser, so it's just building that up. And it's just a matter of playing a lot more on the mage, and you can see here I do quite well at getting those skills off. So most of the fights ended with me losing like this. Yeah, like Solace won 9 out of 10 fights, if not more. But I learned so much from them. I mean, they're one of the better mages on the server, so... And this is probably the best fight I had with them, because I was predicting a lot what they were doing and I counteracted it. So I knew they were always going to go for an ice spike when I was up close, so I was waiting for it and then went into the ice pylon. So I was kind of proud of that little tactic. And then I was really getting up close in their face, so I could drop like fireballs on them and stuff like that. That seemed to kind of even the playing field a little bit. So this is probably the best fight I had against them. It was one of the last fights. But yeah, so thanks to Solace for making me a better mage. And after I had that big dueling session, I definitely came out better for it. The sort of key takeaways that really also helped me in other duels was getting those burst combos off, especially at the start, being aggressive, obviously stamina management. Also just being willing to take damage. Like sometimes you got to take damage to be able to dish out damage. That was like almost the biggest one, I think, for me. The thing is, when you are so afraid of taking damage, as soon as you do, you'll react badly. So a really good example here is I'm against a hatchet, which is a scary thing against a mage. But because I'm not afraid to take that damage, I'm willing to put a pillar of fire right on top of him, whereas normally I probably would have just tried to run away. And also, while he's attacking me, I'll take that damage, but I put down the ice storm and then go into my tomb. So it basically enables me to play a lot smarter and manage to get a lot more damage on them. So basically I win the trade, I do more damage to them than they do to me. So right here he tries to run away from me. And so yeah, my good old aim isn't quite getting him. But then he comes back with a gravity well, comes back for a second round. But again, I don't lose I get my potion off, get my health back up, stay in close, get my damage on him and finish him off. Yeah, and then as the other thing mentioned, it was just getting those combos off, especially at the start and playing aggressive, and you can see that I do a really good example of that here, fight another mage, get my ice spike off on them, throw a fireball on them, and then, yeah, there's basically game over at that point. And then you see another example of where those two come together here. I get attacked by someone on a hatchet, which, you know, would have freaked me out previously, but I stay calm. I see him coming for one thing, put down my skills. I'm not afraid of taking damage, and then I get all my burst off on them straight away and then manage to finish them off. And so that also has been really, really helping in OPR. We've been doing some 1vx's, which has been really, really good. You can see that I'm in massive trouble here, but rather than freaking out too much, it's like, okay, I'll take a bit of damage in order to get them off me, you know? So I tried to get an ice spike on them to stagger them so I can get a bit of distance. But I'm able to get that burnout and get behind the rocks, and I'm quickly, madly eating my food to try to get my health back up. Then I managed to get a pillar of fire on the enemy and kill him. You can hear the little dink there. And then the next guy's at me, but I get my fireball on him and apply my burst, and it's just a matter of finishing him off from a distance. And so now it's a 2v2, and there's a sniper on the rock just firing away at us, so I try to get behind the rock so they can't, but my teammate goes to the other tree, so I come down to help him. That guy realizes he's taking way too much damage, so he hightails it out of there. And so then we just get our health a little bit up, and then we go for the sniper because he's a little bit of a squishy Donny. So we charge him down, he's still standing there, I get my fireball on him, and then as he runs away we just... Our great aim, but it's getting better, our aim's definitely getting better. I say we because I'm with my teammate Leos, who's also learning to play the bow, so we're kind of doing a little bit together. Anyway, so after we kill those guys, we see a whole bunch of reds in the nodes, so we come in and try to fight them, and I realized that that wasn't probably the wisest of decisions. But again, you can see that I'm not just trying to run away, I turn around and manage to get a burnout on them. That just comes back to that whole just willingness to take a little bit of damage. Just gotta be aware that you're not getting stunned, that's all. So I'm being really aggressive here, pushing in. But I realize that's probably not going to work, so we back up around the corner, hoping that they all kind of jump off and want to fight us, which they do. We've got some snipers up there we need to be careful. I tried to catch that guy in his charge in my pillar of fire, but I don't think I got him. So at the moment, it's just kiting them out a little bit, but this guy's really low on health. Me and my teammate both managed to land shots on him and finish him off, and then we have this little mage to deal with. And again, I managed to hit him with my pillar of fire. He's used up his riposte, so now it's just a matter of trying to land that last shot, which he's doing a good job of dodging, but my teammate finishes him off with a bow. Alright, so the things I learned in this week in no particular order, and you can see a good example of that here, is don't be afraid to get up close and be aggressive. Getting up close and getting aggressive is when you're going to be able to land most of your big attacks more easily. And the good thing about mages, they have a lot of ways to mitigate damage, get away from people if they need to, so sort of learning to be not afraid of taking damage allowed me to push up really close and be aggressive, which then allowed me to get my burst combos off and do a lot of damage, so that was really, really helpful. The thing about burst is you want to basically not use it until you know you can get it off. And so, again, that's a good thing about getting up close, is you can often get your fireballs on people, you can often get your ice spikes on people. It's obviously a lot harder to land hits on people when they're further away. So what I tended to do was I tended to just blow through all my cooldowns, and I'd miss a lot. Now I'm being a lot more careful about getting those attacks off, lining them up, and if it means I get a hit, in order to do that, I'm willing to take that trade-off. And it's kind of ironic because on my bruiser, I love being in the thick of the battle, but sometimes it was hard, especially in medium armor, because you couldn't create distance on people when you were in trouble. The great thing about Mage is you have things like Entomb, and you've got a bunch of CCs, and so I actually find I can still get really in amongst it as a mage, just because when things get a bit hairy, I just can get out of there so easily. So it's a bit of an irony that the mage is almost as good at doing the whole getting into the fight when it needs to, or staying from a distance and kiting when it needs to, which just shows that kind of adaptability of a mage, which is awesome. And you don't actually need the best aim as a mage, because your big hitting abilities like Fireball and Ice Spike make up for most of your damage. So as long as you can land your Fireball like I do here, and you can land your Ice Spike, which I do next, you'll be able to bring people down to 0 pretty quickly. And so yeah, you can just slowly work on your aim in between. Anyway, loving Mage right now. Loving that I've been having some good 1vx's and doing arenas and just having like a lot of fun. So hopefully you're enjoying the content and you enjoy this Mage PvP video, and I will see you around all shortly.